Welcome to the Day Weather Podcast. It's Tuesday, March 10th. As we head through the next few days, as we look ahead into next week, what we see is a typical March weather pattern, which means we're going to have a little bit of everything. We're going to have some mild days, we're going to have some sunny days, we're going to have some wind, we're going to have some rain and snow, and some up and down temperature conditions. Exactly what you'd expect for this time of year. Over the next few days, generally speaking, the weather across the Intermountain West will be fairly mild, but we've got a couple of fronts that will produce a little bit of shower activity. We saw that last night and early this morning over near the mountains. We did see some showers in some areas, and we're going to see again a cold front come in across the region Wednesday night, Thursday. That'll bring some rain and snow showers and cause our temperatures to kind of bounce up and down. It'll be pretty mild today and Wednesday. Temperatures get colder Thursday. Then as we get on into Friday and Saturday, that's when things begin to get a little bit more active. So let's take a closer look. First of all, this is where we are with the upper level flow pattern right now. The jet stream has got that low off the California coast, and we've got a generally flat flow bringing Pacific air into the country. We have a little bit of a disturbance coming through. That's what caused the showers last night. And we're going to see this low want to swing this way as we get to the end of the week. And as we get to the end of the week, well, we see this upper level low by Friday morning coming into western Arizona. By Friday afternoon and Friday night, the low goes just like this. It's not a terribly strong system, but this system up above it, driving its way south along the coast, will make this low kick off to the northeast. So we're looking at some potential precipitation with this storm getting into eastern Colorado, southern and eastern Wyoming, and western Nebraska. This area of moisture right here is associated with this system coming up out of the southwest. And you can see there's some good precipitation down in Arizona and Southern California. They need it. Now, it doesn't look like anything heavy here, but we do see the potential as we get into Friday and Friday night and into early Saturday, this area here to maybe pick up some light accumulations of snow, as it will be trending colder with this front coming in Wednesday night, Thursday, cooling this off. Then as we go out a little bit further, that low that was up off the coast of British Columbia is now down into central Southern California by Monday morning. This is going to feed moisture this way, and you see this little kink? This little kink right here, you see it connecting to some blue and green colors. Well, basically, what we're going to have here is a pocket of much colder air wanting to come into the Rockies and Great Basin. By the same time, this low wants to move this way by the early to middle parts of next week. So what's going to happen is this low, as early as Saturday night and Sunday, will throw moisture this direction into Idaho, parts of the Pacific Northwest and western Montana, and northwest Utah. We could see snow developing in this area as early as Saturday night and Sunday morning. Then as this low swings east and as this colder air gets pushed south, well, by the middle of next week, this is by Thursday, that low is over the Four Corners area. We've got a flow of colder air coming in behind it. We've got another little low back up here. And if you look at the shape of the jet stream, Gulf of Alaska ridge means a western United States trough, and a high pressure in the southeast United States will keep the low pressure trough centered over the western United States. So the trend in the pattern, folks, by Friday and Saturday, starts to get a bit more unsettled. By later in the weekend and for all of next week, we're going to use the word unsettled right now because we can't pinpoint where this particular storm will hit the hardest. But next week's weather certainly is going to be colder. It has the potential to be more wet in the form of rain and wet snow in the western high plains and the Rockies. Precipitation-wise, over the next 10 to 15 days, this is what the computer models are forecasting. Anywhere you see yellow to orange, you're looking at better than an inch of water. You're getting in the reds and the darker colors, you're looking at 2 to 4 inches of water. So you can see all of the western United States over the next 2 weeks is a lot more wet than it has been lately. Again, this is a computer model. You got to take it with a grain of salt, especially when I show you the snowfall forecast. Don't look too far into these numbers, but we certainly do see later this weekend and next week and the week after that a more typical, more stormy March weather pattern. So stock growers And folks, with travel plans beginning this weekend and next week, you've got to count on the weather getting a bit more active across the Rockies and High Plains. Here's one reason, and this is one big reason why we're pretty confident this will happen. What I'm showing you here is a picture of the stratosphere as you get up to around 70, 80,000 feet or so. And what we're showing is the whole shot of the northern hemisphere. So you can see the United States here. You can see Africa and Europe over here. So this is a bird's eye view if you were looking straight down at the Earth and looking straight at the North Pole. What I want to show you is basically what would be considered the polar vortex, or the circle of very cold air that's up over the higher latitudes. This is where it's been for most of the winter. You haven't heard this on the news, but it's been very, very cold in Alaska. It's been very, very cold in the Arctic and very cold up here in northern Russia all winter. In fact, some record temperatures in Greenland this winter. Now, this polar vortex, as we change seasons, will begin to move around, stretch apart, break apart, and will start to change as the seasons change. And this is a snapshot of where it is now. But if we were to go further out to 10 days, I want to show you that purple area. Notice how it moves off the pole and closer to North America. So over the next 10 days, what's going to happen is the whole structure of the atmosphere from the ground way up into the stratosphere shifts south. See this area of red and orange right here on the other side of the globe? Well, this is a stratospheric warming event that's going to send this weather south into the western United States. So when we talk about the second half of March getting more stormy, getting colder and more active, it's supported not only by what we see in our weather maps for the lower parts of the atmosphere, but the upper atmosphere as well. Now, eventually what will happen is this area of really cold conditions that you see in the purple will break apart into pieces as we get into late March and early April as the seasons transition. But this is something we have seen shown up here over the last week or so our confidence is growing that the second half of March into early April is going to be a much different ball game. And one reason that it's been so cold up north, and one reason why that we keep an eye on things, is look at the sea ice accumulation. Now, the sea ice accumulation is something that has grown. For those of you concerned about the Arctic losing its ice, and it has been very low over the last few years, well, the Arctic ice has grown over this winter season due to all that cold air locked up, and this graph here shows it above average. Greenland, now some of you have been hearing about Greenland losing ice sheets and having a lot of melting. Well, Greenland is picking up ice. This winter, the ice accumulation has been significant because of those colder temperatures, because that polar vortex this winter has been centered over the higher latitudes. The polar vortex really has not visited the United States or southern Canada much this winter. That's one reason why it's been such a mild winter. But keep in mind, when the winters are mild in our latitude region of the lower 48 states, it usually means the Arctic is really cold. Vice versa. When it's really cold in the lower 48s during the winter season, it usually means that the Arctic, relative to normal, is a little bit warmer. Now, that's counterintuitive. How could it be that if the Arctic is warmer, it makes the United States colder? Well, all we have to do is go back to these graphics right here and show you that when the cold air moves off the higher latitudes to the lower latitudes, you get these warmer pockets of air, you get the expansion of the stratosphere, and you warm things up. So it's a little bit opposite, but what has happened is the colder winter in the higher latitudes has led to higher ice accumulation. So we're going to go into the summer season with more sea ice in the northern latitudes than we've seen it over the past couple of summers. Thanks for listening and watching to the Day Weather Podcast. We'll keep an eye on this busy weather for you. As the week progresses, we'll get more and more detail for next week's weather.